All right, so I want to give you guys an update to one of the cases regarding Julian Assange that we've been following. Let me just read a little from this piece by Trevor Fitzgibbon in the Intelligencer. In a stunning move, CIA Director William Burns moved to invoke state secrets privilege to halt a lawsuit brought by four Americans who alleged that the CIA violated their Fourth Amendment rights by unlawfully spying on them while meeting with WikiLeaks publisher Julian Assange. Last December, a federal judge in the Southern District of New York ruled that the four plaintiffs could proceed with their lawsuit against the CIA. The plaintiffs, including New York-based media attorney Deborah Herbeck, which we had here on the show, and renowned civil and human rights attorney Margaret Ratner Kunstler, claim that not only were their meetings with Assange illegally surveilled, but that their computers and cell phones were seized with all of their private and confidential communications with people having nothing to do with Julian Assange downloaded and sent to the CIA. The piece goes on to say that in response to the CIA's decision to hide behind state secrets privilege, Richard Roth of the Roth law firm and attorney representing the four Americans suing the CIA stated, quote, "On behalf of plaintiffs to the federal court litigation, we find it extremely disheartening that the CIA refuses to even file an answer to the complaint. Instead, it chooses to hide behind the state secrets privilege when it's indisputable that our clients had nothing to do with any investigation by the CIA or any governmental agency. It is also patently unfair and unjust indeed and impossible for plaintiffs to oppose a secret motion submitted by the CIA exclusively to the court that neither plaintiffs nor their counsel are even allowed to read. The CIA's position raises one logical question. If there were truly no facts to support the allegations in the complaint, then why can't the CIA simply deny each of them? Good question. With us now is attorney Richard Roth, who is representing these four plaintiffs. Richard, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So give us a little bit of background before we get to what the CIA just did, this kind of the shenanigans they're trying to pull. Give us the background of who these four plaintiffs are, why they were meeting with Julian Assange, and what happened to them.
Sure. So the four plaintiffs, as you had mentioned, two of them are esteemed lawyers in New York. Then there are two reporters, John Getz and Charles Glass. They all went into the embassy, the Ecuadorian embassy. Let's not forget, Mr. Assange was in the Ecuadorian embassy in London for years, over 6 years. And they went in during that time period and visited him. Some were lawyers, there were doctors, everyone went to visit him. Whoever went to visit him had to visit him there because that's where he was just sought essentially asylum. So when they went in to see them, unbeknownst to these people, each of their electronic equipment, be it phones, laptops, Apple equipment that were handed to security, were imaged by the CIA and then sent to the CIA, which is very disheartening because we have something here called the Fourth Amendment. You can't do a search and seizure unless you have probable cause. And for U.S. citizens, even if they were in England, they still have those rights. So these people went in to the embassy to meet Mr. Assange without their phones and their laptops and their computers, not realizing that after they gave them to the security went ahead and imaged everything in their computers. And think about it. Not only is it a Fourth Amendment violation to take information from someone who's not under investigation, but the two women were lawyers. So they have information in their computers, which is attorney-client protected for other clients.
Yeah.
Or if a doctor went in, he's got doctor protections for other patients. So all this stuff was basically taken, image, and sent to Langley. We didn't know it at the time. The way we learned about it was that there's actually a lawsuit in Madrid where the Spanish company that was retained by the CIA to go ahead and do this was under investigation. And there was a lot of evidence, affidavits from individuals who worked in the embassy that essentially said we took it and then we sent it to Langley. So this lawsuit, it sounds complicated, but it's very simple. This lawsuit is an attempt to recover by reason of the CIA wrongfully taking information of individuals who were not under any investigation. Yeah. And we started it in August 2022. Here we are 2 years later. We're still fighting to get out of the pleading stage.
Okay, so before we get to them citing state secrets, let me just ask you. So this was the Ecuadorian embassy in London. So this is technically Ecuadorian soil, right, inside of London.
Absolutely.
These are four Americans that go in. So let's just say that this information was never passed to the CIA. As an American, we don't have any rights on we don't have American rights on Ecuadorian soil, right? So if we go to Ecuador and they seize our stuff and they look through our stuff and we don't have the Fourth Amendment rights in Ecuador, right?
Correct. Well, we have yes, we have Fourth Amendment rights from our government interfering.
Right. Okay.
But we don't have a right for the Ecuadorian government to interfere. Yes.
And so from what my understanding is that the Ecuadorian embassy hired security for their embassy, and they hired a Spanish company. Is that right?
Correct. UC
So,
Global.
okay. So again, we don't have Fourth Amendment protections from Spain or Spanish security.
Correct.
So had they just gone to the embassy and had they just had their information searched, and it was never given to the CIA, that would have been legal, right?
Sure, as long as it wasn't the U.S. government involved. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So once it was passed to the CIA, that's when a crime is broke. That's when a law is, Constitution is broken for us, a Fourth Amendment right. So would the CIA, the reason why I wanted to break this down in that way is because the CIA, would they have an argument, a legal argument to say, well, we weren't the ones who conducted the search. We weren't the ones, we just ended up with the information.
The answer is no, because we have the facts. We know that they were involved in the search. We know that they signed agreements with UC Global. We know that documents went to Langley. We know that they were there was security, which essentially, you go in like you go through TSA. You go in, you go through security, and you keep going. What happened was the CIA is the one that actually developed this system whereby they would get everyone's information. So they were not a passive player here.
Mm-hmm.
This was their idea, and they implemented it.
So they were trying to figure out a workaround. I mean, this is like the sneaky stuff they do.
Yeah, and if you think about it, what's even worse, think about it. Julian Assange is sitting in the embassy with his criminal lawyer preparing a defense to the case brought by the federal government. And the federal government has the ability to listen in and take information that he's using, which is clearly attorney-client protected,
right,
to prepare his defense against the federal government. That's how crazy it is.
Right. Yeah. So obviously, because it was Julian Assange sitting in there, they were purposefully trying to figure out this workaround. They're like, okay, well, it's Ecuadorian soil. It's a Spanish security company. If they're the ones doing if they're the ones doing the dirty work, then we could just kind of procure this information. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen show, which you could catch just by heading to that link down below, KimIversonShow.com. You can watch the full show from what you just watched, or you could catch the full show live Monday through Friday, live streams, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you then. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Never miss a clip. Never miss a segment. Thanks, guys.